Hello everybody and welcome to this new format of newspaper analysis. So guys, from so many days we were taking the newspaper discussion, but I felt that particular wave was becoming a little bit more passive. It was becoming just like a big boss show where you can just hear the voice, but a human connect was not there, which I believe is very important for effective learning as well as for effective teaching. Moreover, simply because this platform is free, it can never be an excuse that you don't get the quality of education which other might be getting into some paid institute or into some paid courses, because learning and monetary things should never go hand in hand. However, earlier also I thought that such a change should be incorporated, but because due to some constraint, due to some challenges, it was not being able to materialized. But now I will be taking this particular forward, and if this format you like it, if it is more fruitful, then we will be carrying with it. But friends, I will be needing your support, your love in order to keep it going on, because just your comment, your like, it is a force which keeps me moving. So on that particular note, now taking up our newspaper analysis. But before that, one question which I am being bombarded with in last 3 4 days. Question is that why I stopped the discussion of the questions, mains question I gave you every day, why I stopped that discussion. So first of all, see, every day I am taking 40 to 45 minutes discussion, and discussing one more question for 2 minutes, 3 minutes is not actually tiring for me. But there is a reason for before behind that thing. When I started this exercise, I thought that we will be making a community here. I will give you a question. I expected that you will also provide here some 1 point, 2 point, and if even 10 people would have provided 2 points, everybody would have 10 points. It would have helped everybody. Moreover, me telling that particular thing will not be serving the purpose for you. You need to push your brain how to think in that particular direction, because that is the skill which will be helping you into the exam. But apart from two students occasionally, none of you commented that what could be the solutions or what will you will write. I don't want that you write the entire structured answer, but just in 2 lines, 3 lines, provide some insight on that particular thing, because see, that is the way a community works. Okay, we are not into some kind of economic arrangement, we are a community, and that is a basic thing. So if you give a response on that particular thing, I will be more than happy to start that particular thing again. So no problem, we'll do that thing again. Now, taking up the newspaper analysis.
Now friends, first of all, let's have a look over the entire newspaper. Now here, the PM cares has been mentioned where the Supreme Court has given the final judgment. So with respect to this entire issue we will be seeing. Then guys, the China FDI curbs are leading to certain implications onto the manufacturing. So we'll see what has given. Then guys, here the Madhya Pradesh has reserved the jobs for the locals. So here the politics of nativism and its implications will be seeing it. Then guys, moving forward into the city section, you can see that nothing important news has been given with respect to the COVID, etc. The things have been discussed. Then guys, directly moving to the editorial page. Now into the editorial, this first editorial talks about the tussle that is going on between the AIADMK and BJP into the Tamil Nadu, not at all important for our exam. Then guys, this article talks about the India-Nepal issue. Friends, already just onto the Independence Day, when the Nepal Prime Minister called the Indian Prime Minister, we had discussed this issue. Moreover, 6-7 times we had discussed. However, guys, this particular article is written by a journalist based into the Kathmandu, and the article propagates that India rather should give the stake onto the territories which Nepal has shown into our map. However, you are preparing for UPSC, so that particular thing is not desired in your exam. Then guys, this particular article talks about the Turkey and EU problems. So we'll see what actually is happening here. Then guys, this particular article talks as how the people should not believe into the institutions. It is actually ridiculing police onto some negative trajectory. However guys, with respect to the UPSC, the content has not been there. Now guys, this particular article talks about the reforms into the criminal justice system. So we'll see the issues involved. Then guys, this particular article talks about certain important judgments with respect to the transparency. We'll see what has been given. Then moving forward. So here you can see that the cheetah introduction, cheetahs are being brought into the zoo. However, in this particular direction, the entire cheetah introduction plan will be seeing this thing. Then guys, the entire paper is filled because of the judgment of the Supreme Court, so we'll see all these issues. Then moving forward, now guys, here a model has came, however don't need to go into the detail. It has been said that depression and diabetes should be integrated into a single treatment, because often the people, because of depression, they go into the diabetes, and because of diabetes the depression increases. So an independent kind of and integrated kind of treatment needs to be there. Then guys, it has been said that into the coming year up to 2025 there will be 12% increase into the cancer. So this particular data you can write when you are writing about the lifestyle disease or the non-communicable disease. Such data has been given by the National Cancer Registry Program report. So please keep this into your mind, just a one-liner thing. Then guys, moving forward, here the no-go forest has been mentioned. So with respect to this entire thing we'll be seeing. Now guys, here one liner concept. Railways are now deploying the drones that are the ninjas. What these drones will be doing? They will be keeping an eye onto the track. They will see whether somebody is not tampering with the railway infrastructure and all these kind of things. So for keeping an eye, these will be used. However, with respect to the expenditure etc., we don't know to go into that. Then guys, showcase page, not important for our exam. Now onto the world page again guys, the US elections, China provocation etc. has been mentioned, not at all important. Now here guys, you can see that RBI is unveiling the retail payment entity. So with that particular direction we'll see what is coming. Then guys, onto the sports page, nothing important with respect to the exam. So that's it, and now let's take the newspaper analysis in detail.
Now, taking up the first news. So this first news pertains to the Madhya Pradesh. So Madhya Pradesh government had said that they will be reserving their government job only for the local people. And here it has been said that resources of MP for children of MP. Now, this particular thing is being done in order to contain the negative impact of the lockdown. Even there have been substantial reverse migration. People have came back to Madhya Pradesh, and in order to preserve their economic interest, such a thing has been done. This is the reasoning of the government. And this is not the Madhya Pradesh which has done this thing. Into the past, last year, Andhra Pradesh also did some similar thing. It passed the Andhra Pradesh Employment of Local Candidates in Industries and Factories Bill 2019, where 75% of jobs were reserved for the local people. Even Gujarat had said that they will be coming out with certain such kind of legislation, and in Maharashtra, though a formal legislation has not been passed, but you know that there is a huge backlash against the people who are from the different states. So guys, this particular step raises certain issues, certain challenges. What challenges there are? There is the problem of politics of nativism which is being ignited. Now guys, we have a huge diversity in our nation, and because of such a diversity, a differentiation comes. And because of differentiation, the different identities are developed. Now, many a times these different identities are leveraged for the political purpose, and that particular tendency is called as the politics of nativism. And the best excuse to carry the politics of nativism is to cite the economic reasons. Why? Because economic interests are one of the paramount interest which can impact a person. Now guys, right now the excuse has been given that by doing this particular thing, we will be able to mitigate the present crisis into the economic way. Secondly, it has been said that we had seen a jobless growth into so many years, the employment has not been there. So right now we need to preserve the employment interest of our own people, and therefore we are doing this thing. Thirdly, it has been said that manufacturing sector in India has been very dwarf. We can't accommodate people there. So in government jobs, we will be keeping our own people. So these are the arguments which has been given. But now, what are actually the challenges or the issues in this particular thing apart from the politics of nativism? First of all, there are the constitutional challenges. Article number 14, 15, 16 and 19 will be violated here. You can see article number 15 talks about that there can be no discrimination by the state, but making a binary us versus them, outsider versus the natives, you are carrying the discrimination. Article 16 clearly provides that there can be no birth based discrimination, that is being done here. Then article 19 provides a freedom to move freely, but when you will restrict the opportunities with respect to the job, you are creating an invisible wall and you are curtailing the right to move freely. And all these things have been also talked by the Supreme Court into the Charu Khurana versus Union of India judgment in 2014, where a trade union into the Maharashtra was denying the membership to a makeup artist. So, on this particular ground, there could be the constitutional problems. Then there are other issues. See, if we take the example of Madhya Pradesh, it has been a state which had seen the net outflow of the migrants. It is the state which sent their migrants, and such a action by such a type of a state defies all the kind of logic. Now guys, if I give you the data of workforce in Madhya Pradesh from 2011 census, you can see that into the state only 5% of workforce is caused by the interstate migrants, people who had came outside from outside, and only into the cities of Singrauli, Bhopal and Anupur 10% workforce is constituted by the outside migrant, which is not that much. Moreover guys, throughout the country, the politics of nativism we see onto the logic of economic viability. But here I have some data from 2011 census I will give you. So it has been said that only 26 of India's 640 districts does the share of sees the share of migrants in the urban workforce exceed 25%. So only in 26 districts they are in little bit larger number. All the ways only the natives are there into the much proportion. So all the states are wrong in this particular dimension. Then guys, 2011 census also shows us a trend that in nowadays what is happening, a new trend in migration is also coming, that is from north to south. And in south, the states such as the Karnataka, Tamil Nadu are one of the biggest recipients of the migrants. Now guys, apart from these challenges, there is one more challenge. If this thing will be done, it will open up Pandora box of nativism. All the states will go into such kind of spree that they will reserve a job for their own people, and by such a way the son of a soil doctrine will further be promoted, and it will bring the hatredness, it will break the fraternity of India, which has been enshrined as a fundamental duty under article number 51A. Moreover guys, there are other problems also. By such a particular thing, even the state will impact its own viability, will impact its own competitiveness, because when restriction onto the human resource movement are levied, ease of doing business sentiments get impacted. So this particular thing is also having a negative impact on notion on this particular thing. Now guys, here I will give you a quote from the Chinmay Tumbe. So Chinmay Tumbe is an economist who has written extensively onto the internal migration. He says that remittances from all these places where the people are employed, all through the flow, all through the year, to thousands of villages and small towns, much like the tributaries of the Ganga. So actually what is happening by the migration and economic mobilization, remittance mobilization is happening throughout, which is keeping the nation viable. So because of all these particular things, such an action is not desired and it has a large number of consequences. So that's it guys in this particular thing. In GS paper number 1, regionalism has been clearly mentioned. So there it could be a potential question. So that's it, and now we'll move to next. Now guys, the next news is with respect to the PM Cares. Now Supreme Court has finally given its judgment onto the PM Cares. Now before coming into this particular present judgment, I would like to give you a background. So into the last few days, a large number of issues have been there into the PM Cares. I will summarize them quickly. First of all, the fund was announced and so many people donated the money voluntarily. Then a petition was made that please tell us how much money has been received into the PM cares. But such an RTI was denied. It was said that PM cares is not a public authority and therefore you cannot ask the information under the section number 2 of the RTI Act. Because of this particular thing, a new controversy developed. It was said that it is a charitable trust, but guys, there have been certain challenges that why it cannot be the charitable trust. Now, there are certain reasons I'll tell you. First of all, it has been set up by the notification of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and this is a condition that if a government is establishing an organization, it will be a public authority, but it is not the case here. Then the next is that into the organization the chairman is the prime minister and the entire fund is under the prime minister's office, and if it is such the credentials, why it is not a public authority? Then the third reason is that government machinery has been used to mobilize the fund. For example, into the embassy of India in Russia, a circular was sent where it was asked that please contribute to the PM Cares fund. So what you are doing, you are utilizing the government machinery, and wherever it is being utilized, the organization needs to be of public character. But why not here? Then it has been said that .gov domain has been used with the PM Cares, and wherever the .gov domain has been there, all are the government organizations. There have been a specific set of criteria who can use a .gov domain. So why not here? Then PM Cares fund is eligible for CSR, and CSR, if it is eligible, it has to be public authority, but government has denied this thing. Now guys, not only here, but wherever these traits will be there, it will be the public authority. So if a question, implication based question comes into the exam, please keep this thing into your mind. So guys, this was the one controversy. The matter went, it was referred to the Supreme Court that please decide whether it should be the public authority or not. One controversy. The second controversy was there that it was asked that okay, you don't tell us that how much money you received, but just tell us how number of RTIs you received with respect to the PM Cares and Prime Minister National Relief Fund. Such an RTI was made to the PMO. PMO even didn't told that particular thing and used the section number 7 subclause 9. Now, what is section 7 subclause 9? It is provided that if any information has not been kept by a government department into the compiled form, they can deny this particular information. So they denied by using section 7 subclause 9. But already the Kerala High Court has said that section 7(9) cannot be used, but the PMO invoked section 7(9). So this was second controversy. So this is the entire scenario with the PM Cares. Now what has happened? Into the present case, what has been done? The Supreme Court has accepted government's stand and had said that okay, PM Cares is actually a charitable trust, and now the government is happy. Opposition is just like are not knowing how to defend themselves. This is all going on. You will find it in the newspaper also. And because it is a charitable fund, Supreme Court has also said that the Comptroller Auditor General of India needs not to audit the fund. This is also something which is being criticized. Finally, it has also been said that please don't send any more PIL on this particular matter. We will not be entertaining any PIL. The matter has been closed. And finally, it has also been said that there is no need to direct that money which has been received into the PM Cares, it needs to be directed into the National Disaster Response Fund. Earlier there were the appeals that entire money should be transferred there, but now it is not the case. And finally, this is something extra which has been said. It has been said that there is also no need to prepare a new disaster management plan. It was also being asked. However, it is little bit off the scope. So guys, all these are the issues with respect to the PM Cares. Now, there are the challenges. I have told you the 5 challenges why it would have been there. Now, this particular thing raises a question onto the transparency of the government. Now, under the RTI Act 2005, it has been said, and even into the second ARC, it was said that government needs to follow a norm where transparency will be the practice and classification will be an exception. But this is not being done into this particular spirit. So therefore, it has certain issues. So guys, please keep all this thing into your mind. Into GS paper number 2, onto the topics with respect to the transparency into the government, you can utilize this particular thing. So that's it. Now we'll move to the next news. Now guys, next news is with respect to the curbs on FDI that has been imposed right now. Now guys, what has happened? Into the past few months, government changed the FDI policy. And when it changed the FDI policy, it said that all the neighboring countries of India, all the FDI coming from that, it needs to take the security clearance from the government. Now what happens? There are two major categories of FDI. One are approval based, other are the automatic based. Automatic based one, you don't need to take any approval, you direct come. Approval based, there is an approval. And all the countries into the neighborhood, particularly China, all the investment needs to come through the approval. It has impacted, it has some negative implications. First of all, what are the implications? Here one case has been said. So what happened? General Motors, the USA's automobile manufacturer, it had a deal with the General Wall Motors, which is from the China. So General Motors is winding up its manufacturing facility, and this particular GWM Chinese firm, they wanted to immediately start the manufacturing into the Maharashtra. But as the FDI norms have been tightened up, this particular deal is not going through. Now it has a negative implication. Just under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, we said that we will be promoting the Make in India and not Make in India. Rather, we're going for the Make for the world. We want to be an exporter. Now this particular General Motors, it was exporting the automobiles and now they can't carry. And if somebody else is coming, the deal is not going through, and it will be having an impact onto the manufacturing capabilities of our nation. Then guys, it will also be having one more implication, that it will lead to the failure of the employment actions. Right now, if I give you the data, then according to the NSSO, in 2017-18, the joblessness was at 6.1%, which is highest since 1972 and 73. And into the present crisis, the joblessness has increased even more. And by not allowing the FDI, this joblessness will become even more worse. And finally, it will impact the ease of doing business sentiments for India if such a clarity will not be given. So guys, just into the answers with respect to the GS paper number 3, manufacturing sector, such kind of things can be utilized, that how government's policies with respect to the neighborhood might also be having a negative implication onto the economic ground. So for a reference, we can utilize this particular thing. Now, moving to the next news. Now, in this particular news, you can see that the well killing has been mentioned, which has been suspended. So it has been so much into the news. We'll see what actually it was all about. Now, we had seen already that a blow up has been occurred into the Assam, and the Bagjan oil field is being it is under fire. So this incident happened when a gas well, it leaked and it started spewing out the gas, and then the gas got combusted, and there is a disaster which is going on. Now guys, first of all, if we see the Bagjan oil field, then you can see this is location into the Assam, and around this particular thing there is the Maguri Beel which has been located. Now first of all, Maguri Beel, see, it is a very important wetland and a bird sighting site, and according to the BirdLife International, it has been given the status of the important birding site. Now the question has already been asked onto the BirdLife International. So what is it? It is a global partnership of the NGOs which work for the conservation of birds and for their habitat. And you might have also heard about the IUCN Red List. So in IUCN Red List, the BirdLife International is the authority which prepares it for the birds. So please keep it in your mind. So this is, then it is also located into the vicinity of the Dibru-Sekhowa National Park. So ecologically very fragile region. Now guys, what is this whale killing? So the whale killing is a technical word where a kind of a viscous cement and mud mixture is inserted into the inlet so that the leaking of the gas can be prevented. Now guys, if I give you some visual, so what happens? You can see that this is a kind of a, below this is the well of a gas. So above the ground, this is a valve which is fitted, which prevents the blowout of the well. Now what happened into the Bagjan? In Bagjan, this valve has malfunctioned. Now what do we do into the killing? In killing, a viscous mud and cement mixture is poured here so that the pores which are below the earth, nearly 3.5 kilometers below the earth, these pores will be blocked up so that this leaking can be stopped. Now this thing was achieved just 2-3 days back, but again this killing has been failed and again the gas leaking has begun into the Bagjan. So with respect to the killing of the well, please understand it is the blocking by the mixture of cemented mud. So that's it about this particular thing. And now we'll move to the next. Now friends, we are into the editorial section, and the first editorial that we are taking, the troubled waters. It is with respect to the dispute that is going on between the Greece and Turkey into the Mediterranean Sea. So we will see from very scratch what is all going on. Now first of all, if you focus onto this particular map, you can see that this is the Mediterranean Sea. Then this is Turkey. Here you can see the location of Greece. Now one more country is important here, that is Libya. Now guys, in between there is Mediterranean Sea. And now what happens? I will give you one reference. According to the United Nations Convention on Law of the Seas, from your coastline up to 200 nautical miles, it is called as the exclusive economic zone. Now within exclusive economic zone, the countries are free that they can exploit the mineral wealth whatever is occurring from there. Concept number one. Now guys, come back to the map. Here if you will see, then you can see that there are various islands also. Most of them islands belong to Greece, but some of them are belonging to the Turkey also. And because of such thing, now the 200 nautical mile thing is not very clearly distinguishable. Into this entire region, Greece and Turkey are having a lot of overlapses onto the exclusive economic zone. They are always alleging that you have entered into my EEZ, the other will say that you have entered into my EEZ. Now this is the background. Just a few time back, into the Mediterranean Sea, the natural gas has been discovered. And because the natural gas has been discovered, again, both the countries are opposite to each other, that who will control the natural gas. Now, because of this particular thing, what has happened? A kind of a dispute with respect to the drilling and exploration is going on. Now, first of all, Turkey, what it did, Turkey sent an exploration vessel into the Mediterranean Sea. Even it sent a naval fleet into the Mediterranean Sea. And it has started the survey of the Mediterranean Sea. Now, as Greece has a conflicting position, Greece has a problem with all this thing. Greece says that, we also have the claim into the Mediterranean Sea, and without us asking to us, you have carried all this particular thing. So it is a question on our sovereignty. You have bypassed our sovereignty. Now Turkey what says? Turkey says that we have the well-intended reason here to explore. Why? Because we have our sovereignty, and they said that we had even more sovereignty. Why? Because this, here you can see the Cyprus. They say that all Cyprus also belongs to us. No guys, only Turkey recognizes that Cyprus is their territory. Greece doesn't recognize Cyprus as their territory. And they said that your claim over Cyprus has not yet settled, and onto the basis of Cyprus, you are even extended your EEZ. We will not tolerate this particular thing. So guys, what has happened? Into the Mediterranean, a kind of an alliance has been formed. Is it clear or not? Who's the alliance? I'll be coming to that thing later. Now, not only they are exploring the oil, rather what they had done, they had made a alliance with the Libya. And they had said that we will merge our both EEZ. So they had said that we will merge, and this particular zone you can see here, this kind of thing they have made. And this particular zone is bypassing from the claims of the Greece. It is even bypassing the Egypt's claim. And now, even apart from Greece, Egypt is angry. And up with the Egypt, other countries are also angry. So, as I was saying, an alliance has been made, and this alliance is made up of Greece, France, Cyprus, because I told you that Cyprus, now northern Cyprus is in Turkey, southern Cyprus, they are an independent nation, but they have a problem because they believe that Turkey, whatever it is doing into the northern part, it is not doing good. Fine. Then there are other countries also. There are Egypt, there are Israel, there are UAE who are indirectly backing this alliance, and on another hand, there is Turkey, and a kind of a conflicting situation is going on. Now, guys, all these means we can see that Turkey's behavior is a little bit ruthless. Why? So, behavior is ruthless because from the very start, whenever the Mediterranean question comes, the European Union as well as other members, they have deliberately ignored Turkey. Fine. Recently, the European Union had made a plan that the gas will be transported from the Mediterranean to the mainland Europe, and a pipeline will be laid, but no one has consulted the Turkey in that particular thing. After that, a East Med Gas Forum has also been made, which includes Italy, Jordan, Cyprus, Egypt, Greece, Palestine, even Palestine and Israel. But there is again no mention of the Turkey. So Turkey feels that it is deliberately being ostracized, it is deliberately being into the sidelines. And Turkey believes that there is also the notion of Islamophobia which is going into the Europe, and because of this particular thing, Turkey is not accounted. And for that particular thing, now Turkey is taking such kind of aggressionist stand here. Now, guys, with respect to the implications on India, India might not be having that much implication because all the countries which are involved here, they don't share a very direct boundary with the India. But regional kind of a stability and regional peace is always desired so that the global peace can be maintained. So guys, that's all about this particular issue. However, India-centric points will not be that much. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. The next topic, it talks about the new committee which has been made for the reformation of the criminal laws in India. Now you know we have so many criminal laws, and IPC, CRPC, actually IPC particularly, it has been struck with the colonial hangover, and the laws are not representative of the present age. So from very long the reform was needed, and this is something which is good. And even just last month, the Ministry of Home Affairs has suggested a committee to recommend the reforms into our criminal justice system. Now, what actually we are doing? We are actually moving away from the colonial hangover. This is good. These reforms will give a way to a dignified life, will give a way to a liberty. Why I am saying a dignified life? Because if you remember, section 377 provided for the criminalization of homosexuality, and when a person is not given up the freedom with respect to his sexual orientation, he is simply not being given a dignified life, and there are large number of provisions which are discriminatory in this particular sense. So here a kind of a dignified life, liberties, a liberalism will be provided. But guys, this particular article is a critique of the committee which has been established. Now what the argument article says, it had said that we are actually going for the decolonization of our legal system. And decolonization is a process. And as it is a process, it needs to be inclusive. Everybody should be included, and it needs to be democratic. But government is not following the democratic ways into this particular thing. So there are certain criticisms. What are these criticisms? Number one, it has been said that the committee which has been constituted, it will be giving an opportunity to the participation, but the participation will be only through their website. And it has been said that in our country only 40% people are there who uses the internet, and because of this particular thing 60% people will not be able to participate into this particular thing. And if you see, this is neither inclusive nor it is democratic. Moreover, when we talk about women, particularly they have a specific barrier with respect to the internet accessibility. And what about the Jammu and Kashmir? There is internet is under the suspension since the August, so how they will participate into this particular process? Second, it has been said that what has been done earlier, also there have been large number of reports by the law commission. For example, Malimat committee was there onto the criminal justice reform system. So this particular committee will be considering all these documents. But it has been said that all the background documents such as the law commission report, they are primarily into the English. And in our country only 10% people are there who know English, and therefore who can speak English, and similar number are there who can read English. How they will be able to participate into this particular thing? Then the next reason comes that the life cycle of this particular committee is problematic. So from July to July to October, the time has been given, and this is the time when we are facing a crisis. How people will be giving priority to participate into this process at all? In contrast, if we talk about the Malimat committee, which was a major committee which recommended the reforms into criminal justice system, their duration was 5 times more than this. So this is a problem that will be coming. Then guys, it has been said that there is no proper representation of everyone. People from all the caste have not been invited, from all the gender means the trans sex, they have not been invited. Fine. Then all the religion, they have not been given an equitable representation. People from working class and disabled class, they have also not been invited. So again, you are not including everybody. Then guys, finally it has been said that no specific terms of reference has been given. A clear mandate has also not been given. Moreover, neither it has been publicized into the government. So therefore, what is actually happening? All these things are making a cocktail. Moreover, the committee which is coming, it has been given just an ad hoc status. And when it will be ad hoc, what about the autonomy? So we don't know actually it will be working under the influence of government or it will be working completely on its own instincts. So these are the things, and because of this particular thing, the new committee which has been made for the reformation of criminal justice system is not inclusive, and we are actually not going for the decolonization process. Now guys, after this particular thing, see, often we say that our criminal justice system is very slow, it is very tardy, and justice is not given to the people. Reforms are needed, but reform in order to be sustainable needs to be more representative also. So this is this particular thing. A direct question can also be asked into the GS paper number 2, and an indirect question can also be there. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now guys, this particular article is just having 3, 4, 5 examples. These examples you can use into your answers with respect to the transparency. Now already, because of the PM CARES fund, etc., the transparency issues is going on. So in that particular direction, this thing can provide us some points. First of all, some background what has happened. Into the Assam Accord has to be implemented. Now Assam Accord was a document that was signed between the government of India, government of Assam, and there was the representation of ASU also, that is All Assam Student Union. According to this particular document, it needs to be seen that who will actually be the citizen of the Assam. You know that a large number of immigrants, migrants from the Bangladesh, etc. has come. So Assam needs that the people who are illegally there, they needs to be removed. So for removing them, the Assam Accord was signed, and now there are certain procedures with respect to the Assam Accord, particularly the section number 6, which talks about the citizenship. There are certain contentions. That's it. We'll not go into the technicalities, not important for our exam. Now, because of this particular, to rectify this Assam Accord section number 6 problem, a high level committee was constituted by the Ministry of Home Affairs that you tell us how the problems in Assam Accord needs to be rectified. They submitted their report into the February to the Assam government. Assam government gave that report to the center government into the March, but center government has not taken any action till now onto this particular report. And ASU now, it had made the report public. ASU was also the party there. They had made the report public. They had said that you are neither telling what has happened into the report to the public, nor you are taking any action. And because of this particular thing, there is a kind of a symbolism which has been created, and there are large number of people who say that always government is very much indifferent whenever some crucial reports or some crucial findings are concerned. For example, there was the Vohra committee report. This report was on to the question of nexus between the political parties and the criminals. The report was submitted for 2 years and no action was taken. And finally, when there was a murder, only then there was a action which was taken. So because of this particular thing, it has been said that now also government is going on to that particular line, not taking any action. And guys, when the matter of giving any information to the public comes, always government's behavior is like this. And in this particular direction, the reference of the SP Gupta judgment has also been given. Now, according to the SP Gupta judgment, it has been said whenever there is a certain information, the government should provide that information to the citizens, because citizens have the right to know. And if this right to know will be preserved, then the democratic values will be preserved. So in order to preserve the democracy, people should be given the knowledge. Is it clear? And one more very radical judgment I will cite here, that is the Yashwant Sinha versus CBI judgment of 2008. Here, Supreme Court said that even if anybody publishes some classified or some secret document, that thing can also be done. Now, I'll give you some background. We have the Official Secrets Act. And Official Secrets Act give a permission to the government that you can hide any document, you can classify simply any document if you think that it should not be shown to anybody. Into the Yashwant Sinha case, the Supreme Court of India took a reference from the United States Supreme Court and had said that even this particular act doesn't gives you the permission that you can stop any other person to publish the document. Even that document can be presented into the court. So basically, obviously, the sensitive information or the information which will tamper the national security, you can't provide it. But this particular thing, can you see that how much extent it is pushing the freedom to know? But by not taking any action, not taking the release, what government usually does, it curtails the right to know of the people. Moreover, guys, as we are talking right to know, then there is a section number 8 subclause 2 into the RTI Act. What is this particular section? See, there are two legislations in India who are always onto the cross heads. On one hand there is RTI Act, on another hand there is Official Secrets Act. Official Secrets Act say that you can hide a document, RTI says you need to provide the document. So there is our section number 8 subclause 2. It says that if a public interest will be served, then even the classified documents or the official documents can also be asked by the RTI. And into the Yashwant Sinha case, the section 8 subclause 2 was also cited. It said that to serve the public interest, even the official or secret documents can be handed over. So guys, if a question onto the transparency comes, for example, the second article that we discussed onto the RTI, in such kind of things, such judgments, etc., could be given reference of. So that's all about this particular thing. Little bit political inclination was there into this article, and such a political inclination we don't require, so we'll not go into that direction, but the academic content is this one. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now here you can see that the cheetahs are shifted to the Mysuru Zoo. Now guys, as the cheetahs have been discussed, it is a very important topic with respect to the UPSC, because this is the location to the zoo, but onto the sidelines in India, a very ambitious cheetah reintroduction plan is going on. And because of that particular thing, it was also into the news, because from last 7 years, the Supreme Court had kept the cheetah reintroduction plan under the stay, and now finally in 2020, the Supreme Court has allowed. So into this particular direction, cheetahs are important with respect to the prelims they could be asked. So first of all, the cheetahs from the South Africa which has been relocated to zoo, they have been given the vulnerable status onto the IUCN red list. But as the present surveys have been made, there is a scientist community into the world which wants that they should be given the endangered status because their population has declined considerably. However, till now they are into the vulnerable status. Now guys, talking about the cheetah reintroduction plan in India. So first of all, in India, we want to, or originally we wanted to reintroduce the Asian cheetah. Now Asian cheetah right now is found only into Iran, and it has the status of critically endangered. But with Iran, the things were not materialized, and now we might be reintroducing cheetahs from the Namibia. Now guys, if we talk about the Asiatic cheetah, then the reintroduction plan, according to it, there are 3 prospective sites where the cheetah could be reintroduced. That is the Kuno Palpur National Park in Madhya Pradesh. Other could be Nora Dahi Wildlife Sanctuary again in Madhya Pradesh. And the third is the Shahgad Landscape, which is in Rajasthan. So please keep in mind these 3 sites and where they are located. So there could be a question. And the right now into the news is the African cheetah. It has the vulnerable status. It is being asked for the endangered. So that's it. Now we'll move to next. Now guys, here you can see that the no-go zone has been mentioned, and already a question into the UPSC has been asked onto the go zone and no-go zone. What are they? So first of all, the go zone and no-go zones, these are the terminologies used into the context of the forest where the coal mining can be allowed or it cannot be allowed. Now guys, according to the Kasturi Rangan committee and according to Madhav Gadgil committee, there were large number of areas which are ecologically fragile and their mining should not be there. So with respect to no-go zone, what is this particular news item says? It says that since 2005, there have been 49, it is 2015. Since 2015, the 49 coal blocks have been given the permission, and out of this 49, 9 have been into the no-go zone. So government deliberately is crippling the environmental sanctity. Secondly guys, it has also been said that now just in 2020 June, under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, 41 new coal blocks have been kept under auction, and out of this 21 are under the no-go zones. So guys, this could serve as an example as how into the name of economy, into the name of mineral exploration, the environmental harm is being carried. Now guys, according to even this data becomes even more shocking, because according to an RTI made to the coal ministry, 67% of the coal mines which have been allocated since 2015 has not been operational. So government, rather than exploiting the resources which have already been given, is giving new coal mines, and it could lead us to a kind of an unsustainable development, and there might be other kinds of problem. And moreover guys, apart from this thing, the EIA 2020 rules have also been there, which are again kind of compromising with the environmental integrity. So guys, these kind of things can make your answer very much can give a value addition to your answer, so we can use if it is asked. So that's it about this particular thing, and now we'll move to the next. Now guys, RBI has unveiled a framework for the retail payment. Now see, in India, retail payments are the ones which are being settled. For example, I went and I bought a packet of milk. I will pay him by I'll pay by him by Paytm, or I will get my card swiped. So all these categories of payment are the retail payment. Till now, retail payments are being looked by the Reserve Bank of India under the Payment and Settlement Act 2007. But since long, there was a need that a separate body for the retail payments should be established in India, so that the RBI can be relieved from this particular thing and it can focus on more important priorities. Now, Reserve Bank of India had finally unveiled that they will be making a retail payments entity. Now this entity will be registered under the Companies Act 2013, and it will have power with respect to the all kind of retail payments being cleared through the ATM, Aadhaar based payment systems. They could be cleared by the point of sale machine, the machine on which you swipe. So all the payments will go through this particular entity. However guys, the details are yet to come, the exact name is yet to come. Till now only the decision has been made. Now not only it will be clearing not only it will be making the payments, but it will be taking other purpose also. For example, the risk management into the online payments, it will be looking into that particular thing, will monitor the entire ecosystem, and will also be taking participation into the clearing through all these mechanisms. So guys, this was a very long held contention that it should be given to some separate entity, and now it is going to take place. So guys, this particular thing highlights that we are going towards the decentralization of the efforts. First of all, RBI was relieved from the monetary policy. Now there is monetary policy committee, and now this particular thing. So in all these things you can use it. So guys, that's it about all the discussion for today, and now we'll move to the question section.
Now guys, please pause the video and try to answer the question. So question number 1 is with respect to the Ganga cleaning. Please read the statement and identify the correct code. Now question number 2 is with respect to the Pancheshwar multi-purpose project. Please read the statement and identify the incorrect code. Question number 3 is with respect to the International Solar Alliance. Please read the statement and identify the incorrect code. Question number 4 is with respect to the RTI Act. Please read the statement and identify the correct code. And now guys, the mains question for today. So today's mains question is from GS paper number 1, and it is a 10 marker question. Question says that in the new course of social developments, it has often been seen that regionalism triumphs over nationalism. Discuss. So friends, please try to provide some dimensions as what do you think that what could be the relevant points. So that's it friends. I hope you have liked our discussion. Thank you so much.